1,434,000 pulses, not one of them late. Then, at 3:14 on a Tuesday morning, the sky went quiet. I watched the counter roll past the predicted arrival time. 660 seconds, 661, 670. The waterfall display stayed clean, empty, obscenely blue. Nothing in 30 years had ever done that. I checked the receiver, healthy. I checked the clock, a hydrogen macer that loses a second every few million years. Perfect. The dish was on target, the sky was clear, and the thing that had never missed had missed. I did not know yet that it wasn't broken. It was choosing. Nobody discovered that beacon standing under the stars. I found it in a basement, in 11 crates of magnetic tape nobody had touched since the 90s. My name is Mara Velton. I was 31, 2 years into a contract at Corin Flat, a dish array parked in a dry basin because there was nothing out there to make noise. My job title was Archive Hygiene, reprocess old observations, delete the junk. And that is the ugly part. Our software is built to throw away anything that repeats. Regular means man-made. Regular means a fence charger, a satellite, a microwave door opened too early. For 30 years, the most patient thing in the universe had been filed as interference and erased. I should have deleted it too. Instead, I ran the test you run when you are hoping to be disappointed. First, the drift. A transmitter on Earth keeps our clocks, a star keeps its own. This one arrived 3 minutes and 56 seconds earlier every single day, locked to the turning of the sky, indifferent to us. Second, the smear. Radio waves crossing the gas between stars arrive late at low frequencies, and the size of that delay is a ruler laid across the galaxy. I measured it 3 times. The ruler said thousands of light years. So I sat in a cold room at 4 in the morning holding a number that meant this thing was not on my planet. I took it to Halloran, who had been at Corin Flat for 19 years and believed absolutely nothing. They said what any decent scientist says, prove it somewhere else. So we begged 8 hours on a dish on another continent. Different electronics, different sky, people with no stake in my career. We handed them predicted arrival times down to the microsecond for pulses that hadn't happened yet. Every single one landed exactly where we said it would. Halloran read the plots twice, took their glasses off, and used a word I had never heard anyone say in that building. Signal. Then they told me not to say it again until we understood what was making it. That was the problem. 11 minutes is wrong. Ordinary spinning stars flash at us in milliseconds, sometimes a second, at the very slowest around a minute. Then there are the strange, slow ones. The ones nobody has fully explained, ticking at 18 minutes, 21, 44. 11 sits in the space between, a part of the map where nature has never once been caught. And there was worse. A stellar corpse spinning down should slow, imperceptibly, inevitably, like everything else that turns. Across 30 years of archive, we could not measure any slowing at all. Nature builds superb clocks. Nature does not build clocks that refuse to age. Halloran stopped sleeping around then. So did I. I want to be honest about what I became. I wanted it to be a rock, a magnetar, a dead star with a partner, something with no opinions. Because the alternative required me to be the kind of person I had spent my whole education mocking. And still, every shift, I caught myself counting down the last 10 seconds under my breath, like a prayer, like a superstition, waiting for a machine to keep a promise it had never once broken. Which is exactly why 3:14 took the floor out from under me. The gap sat there on the screen, 660 seconds wide. Halloran shrugged and said, "They go quiet sometimes. Wait for the next one." So we waited. 11 minutes is a very long time when nobody in the room is willing to speak. And then it came back. Not late, not stumbling back into rhythm. It arrived on the predicted tick, to within microseconds, as if the missing pulse were simply a note the composer had marked as rest. That detail is the whole story. A broken clock loses time. This one had kept counting through its own silence perfectly, deliberately, and stepped back in exactly where it belonged. Halloran sat down very slowly. Something out there had not failed to speak. It had declined to, and then it had resumed as though nothing had happened at all. The next pulse was not like the others. Every pulse for 30 years had been broad and rough, the way nature shouts, spread messily across the band. This one was narrow, thin as a wire. Nature does not make anything that thin, and we have looked. Inside, it was structure, not noise, not chaos. A short sequence, repeating, folding back on itself. The same handful of symbols arranged the way a sentence is arranged, rather than the way weather is. I remember Halloran whispering that we should call someone, and nobody moving, because none of us could think of a single person on Earth qualified to be called. It took 9 days to unfold, and it unfolded the way a patient teacher unfolds a lesson. First counting, then the counting applied to itself. Then a symbol we had never seen placed precisely where the missing pulse should have been, and repeated with a mark meaning absence, meaning lack, meaning something that should have been there and was not. It referred to its own silence. It named the gap. On the 9th day, a graduate student who hadn't slept said the obvious thing out loud. It's apologizing. Halloran refused the word for months, and Halloran was right to. Nothing out there said sorry. Sorry is a shape our species pours into a hole exactly that size. Then I did the arithmetic that ruined me. Nothing travels faster than light. That signal had crossed thousands of years of empty space to reach my basin, which means the silence was decided long before anyone here had wire, or language, or a word for regret. It was not reacting to us. It could not have been. Whoever built it wrote the pause into the schedule, centuries or millennia ahead, and set it running. Which leaves one thought I have never been able to put down. The apology was not for us. It was left where anyone patient enough to count would eventually find it. A message addressed to whoever finally showed up. There are protocols for this. Verify, then tell everyone, and send nothing back on behalf of a species that has not agreed on what it wants to say. So, we verified, and we told everyone. And the world argued, and the committees are arguing still. 4 years later, no reply has left this planet. I left the archive job. I never deleted another repeating source. And every 11 minutes, wherever I am, some animal part of me still counts down the last 10 seconds. The beacon has not missed again. 1,434,000 perfect pulses, and one that never came. Only the missing one ever meant anything. If you had been on shift when the silence arrived, would you have answered?